Good afternoon and welcome to 3 Talk. I'm your host, Noeleen. South Africa's death toll is the highest in the world. Just this past festive season, 1,465 people lost their lives on our roads. This afternoon, we'll be discussing the carnage on our roads and trying to find solutions. What more can be done to minimize the carnage on our roads? Our lines are open for your thoughts. Call me on 086 22 33303 or tweet me Noeleen3Talk. My first guests are Deputy Transport Minister Sindisiwe Chikunga and Collins from Road Traffic Management Corporation, who are here to discuss and unpack what zero tolerance actually means. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me start with you, if I may, Collins. Exactly what does your corporation do?
Our corporation is responsible for the issue of road safety on South African roads, and we are responsible for all the provinces and everybody else. So we are, as it is, an agency of the Department of Transport. So
when you look at the figures and when you hear of the figures of 1,400, almost 1,500 people losing their lives from the 1st, if I'm correct, from the 1st of December until the 8th of January, and you know that this happened on South African roads, what goes through your mind?
It goes as a concern for us. It is worrisome, but I think it's very alarmist to suggest that it's the highest in the world. I think it's very, very alarmist to suggest that it's highest in the world.
That's according to the research that I've done.
Yeah.
Except for Ethiopia, for developing countries, it is one of the highest in the world. So it's not something that I have, unless you're disputing what they have written.
I'm disputing that because comparatively speaking, if you talk of Ethiopia and everybody else, you must check the number of traffic that we have on South African roads. You must check the number of drivers that they have and everybody else. We are not the highest in the world. In fact, what you are seeing is that most countries do not even submit their road crashes, and they don't even know how many people die on roads, especially in developing countries.
And I accept that completely, Collins, but still 1,500 for South Africa. Let's say you dispute that, but I still think that 1,500 is 1,500 way too much. I'm sure, Deputy Minister, you would agree with that.
I think first, let me welcome the opportunity you've given us and maybe extend our sincere condolences to all South Africans who lost their loved ones during this festive season, but maybe during this year and the past year. Surely the numbers are worrisome, as the CEO of RTMC has said, and we think as a country it's something that we can actually deal with, and we can actually reduce these fatalities. They are unnecessary deaths, and they actually affect people who are supposed to be breadwinners in their families and adding value to our country. So yes, they are worrisome. However, I will agree with the CEO to say we are not the highest in the world.
Okay, listen, you go and do the research for yourself, and that is what I'm getting. But, you know, for me, you know, whether we are the highest or the third highest or the second highest, we are still up there. And for me, that is the major concern, and that is never going to change. The fact that we've got such high figures, and you mentioned families, that for me is a huge issue for us as a country, and it begs the question, why? Why do we have so much carnage on our roads? Why are so many people dying on our roads?
This time around, during our festive season, it was very clear that many of the deaths on our roads were as a result of drinking and driving. As a matter of fact, it would be overspeeding, but drinking will be a factor. It will be dangerous overtaking, somebody will be drunk. It will, of course, be speeding alone. It will be dangerous overtaking alone. But most often than not, drinking was a very common denominator. And it is for that reason that over and above everything that we are doing, we think that we've got to begin to talk about drinking and driving. And that is where our message and suggestion as the department comes from, to say maybe it's time that as South Africa we ban the issue of alcohol and driving, and so that we can actually exclude it. And I think on that one, the CEO can actually expand. You know, the traffic officer has to prove that this somebody was drunk or had taken this amount of alcohol in a court of law. I think it's time that we say no alcohol with driving, and that's it. Because people react this differently in alcohol. It doesn't matter. I don't drink. If I were to take any alcohol, how little it is, I want to believe that I will react in a different manner, because it will be my first time that I'm drinking alcohol. So there are these issues, and therefore I must know that even if I were to want to drink alcohol tomorrow, I will not do so when I'm going to drive, because no amount of alcohol can be accepted when you are to get into a car and drive.
See, this is what I don't understand, and I agree with you. You know, if you are at a party, or you go out with friends for a braai or whatever, it doesn't matter how much you drink. Just don't get behind the wheel of a car. And this is something I think we as South Africans just don't seem to understand, because someone will have a bottle of whatever they drink and then say, I'm still fine. So it's more of a mental thing, isn't it, Collins, about us drinking and driving?
Look, it's true, but it's not only drinking and driving, Noeleen. It's drinking and walking. Our people are dying. Close to about 40% of the people, between 38 and 40% of the people that die are pedestrians. Majority of them die drunk. So it shows you that it's not only about a situation of drinking and driving of someone who's a driver, but also pedestrians that are hit by cars do so when they are highly intoxicated. So for us, I think the issue here is that there is a level of people breaking the law with impunity. If you look at it, 90% of all road crashes, the fatal ones, are preceded by one traffic violation or another. It's either the person is drunk, it's either the person is overtaking dangerously, it's either the person is speeding before any one of those accidents do happen. So if we adhere to road rules, 90% of these accidents are actually crashes are preventable.
Is it going to work though? When the department says, let us say zero, no alcohol at all, is it going to work? Because we're looking at, I think, if I'm mistaken, you can correct me, it's 0.05 at the moment, isn't it?
For the blood alcohol.
For blood alcohol level.
For the breath.
Yeah, so we're looking at a glass of whatever, or half a glass, or half a bottle of whatever. Now, if it is so low already, the amount that you're supposed to drink and you can legally drive, do you think that we are going to adhere to the no alcohol level, or that you are mooting?
You know, if you were to be at the accident site and alcohol is responsible, you would find that that person had taken more than what we think is legally acceptable. It's going to happen like that. It could also be that that person is actually having yet another offense for drunken driving. It could be
so
that
the repeat offenders.
It's repeat of it, you know. So it's to say I will only drink a cup or a glass of alcohol, it seems not to be working at all. People drink more. In fact, what I saw in Port Elizabeth was somebody who had bought alcohol from Cape Town and was driving to PE. Everybody in the car was drunk. The driver too was drunk because they had alcohol in the car. A long distance. The only thing that was remaining was for them to crash, because the driver was definitely going to sleep somewhere. So you can't regulate the amount. You are not there. Somebody is going to say, I'm just going to drink a glass or whatever of alcohol. Then they say, no, I'm still okay. They drink again. I think it's time that as South Africa, we say we just don't need alcohol and driving. We ban it. And we ban it once and for all.
I agree with you. I think that the number of deaths and the number of people who go behind the wheel of the car and say, I'm okay, after drinking copious amounts is just unacceptable. How has negligent driving affected you and all those close to you? Give me a call on 086 2233 303 or tweet Noeleen3Talk and share your experiences with us. After the break, I'm joined by a panel of road safety experts. Stay tuned to hear their take on today's topic. A 2010 study found that 76% of South African drivers break the law each day on the roads. A quick shortcut on the emergency lane, just one beer for the road. The little rules we break can lead to an inconvenient fender bender at the least, or at the worst, result in loss of life. Welcome back to 3 Talk. Joining the Minister and Ian Collins is the National Chairman of the Justice Project South Africa, Howard Dembovsky, occupational therapist and disability driving consultant, Caroline Rule, and the National President of the Southern African Institute for Driving Instructors, Pat Allen. Thank you so much for joining us. Do we know how to drive? As South Africans, do we know how to drive?
No. Not very well.
Okay, so no, not very well.
Very clearly, if anyone drives on the same roads that we drive on, the answer to that question would be definitely no. Because quite frankly, everybody seems to think that traffic laws are lesser laws in this country and they don't have to obey them. And that is a very sad set of circumstances. I've heard it said that 20% of our drivers give us 80% of our problems. I don't think that anybody who drives on the same roads that we do would agree with that. I think it's probably more the other way around, to be very honest with you. But, you know, when we start now talking about having a zero alcohol limit, we've had this discussion many times now.
Okay, hold on the zero alcohol limit. We'll
sure.
come back to it because I just want to establish our driving patterns because 76% of accidents on the roads are because of negligent drivers. Collins, would you say we know how to drive?
Not necessarily. I think we do know how to drive. When
No, we know how to drive a car.
Yeah,
put it on one go, and then do we stop?
Yeah, we do. We just don't adhere to road rules. We know how to drive. I don't think that people do not know how to drive, and I think they know how to drive. Because if you look at people that would go normally and get assessed, they pass the K50. The question is, once you have got that skill, do you then use it on the road?
Would you, if you went for the
blind spots and all
K53,
those
would
things.
you pass?
I would pass.
Is
I don't
it?
know about other people whether they would pass or not.
Okay. I'm not sure. I must be honest. Do I know how to drive? Yes, I do. Do I adhere to the road traffic signs? Sometimes. Do I overtake? Now, this is why I'm asking this, because when you know how to drive, okay, now driving for me encapsulates everything. Do you overtake in a blind rise? No. Why? Because it's dangerous. Do you know how to drive then? Possibly not. That's the point that I'm getting to. Deputy Minister, do we know how to drive?
I think we do know how to drive, but the issue is whether we adhere to the rules. And as probably has been said, do we regard traffic offences, which I request that we refer to them as crimes, traffic crimes, as being less crimes or crimes that are as serious as murder, as serious as robbery and so on and so forth. I think we've not reached that stage as South Africa. We think that when I overtake in a dangerous area and I'm not found, I've not committed crime. It will be only when I steal your cell phone that I will think that I've committed a crime. And yet stealing your cell phone and actually robbing you is as equal serious crime as overtaking on dangerously so. So I think that's the whole issue. But we know these things. The issue is what I've said, but probably also is the attitude.
I was going to say that.
Right.
I think it's also the attitude.
And
I
it's
think we
not
know
it's
these
not
things.
the ministry's attitude. It really isn't. It's our attitude. The deputy minister is not on the road driving. She's got a driver who adheres to the rules. It's us. We are the irresponsible ones. We overtake, we drive like mad people on the
I
roads.
think when we talk about zero tolerance, what I see is that people have got zero tolerance for each other on the roads. How much does it take just to back off and give somebody a gap to move into your traffic? But we see in our culture people squeezing up as close as possible so people don't get a chance. There's such a lack of respect for each other on the road and attitude and you know, people's decisions about how they're going to drive and how they're going to treat other people. And I think, to me, zero tolerance of all the rules, that's one thing, but we've got to stop the zero tolerance of respect for other drivers on the road. That's how I would love to see that zero tolerance slogan put out there. Let's have 100% tolerance for each other. And let's see a change in attitude on the
Hold
roads.
on, Howard, let me get to that.
I agree with the lack of the correct attitude. There's a rebellious attitude prevalent throughout the country. People believe that laws are made to be broken. If you comply with the speed limit, you're left alone on the road and everybody's miles in front of you. If you come to
boy, do they hoot at you?
Yes, and if you stop at a stop street, they hoot at you the moment you've stopped. It's got to the point where the public feels they're entitled to break every law, and those who comply are an irritation to them.
Howard?
Well,
Sorry, Collins, I'll come back to you now.
Once again, unfortunately, it's very much like raising children. We have a lot of road users out there that have become so undisciplined, so arrogant, so disregarding of other people on the road. And when I say other people, I'm not just referring to other cars. We keep on talking about cars. What about pedestrians? What about cyclists? What about people riding in animal-drawn vehicles, etc., etc.? We need to understand that these roads were made for us to share. However, we are going to have to enforce our laws with absolute thoroughness and this so-called zero tolerance. It's actually a phrase I despise, because it's been used and overused like we can't believe. People need to start seeing consequences now, because if you don't, it's just like a naughty child. If you keep on threatening, I will give you a paddy whack across your bottom if you do not behave yourself, and you continually don't do that, they will push the envelope as far as they can to see what will happen if they, or when you're actually going to lose it with them.
But Howard, if we don't use zero tolerance, what else do we use? Because we've got a problem. And taking away that, if government says, well, we're going to enforce the laws and kind of use softer terms, is that the solution as well?
What I'm actually saying, Noeleen, is plain and simple. We've got to stop talking zero tolerance and start doing zero tolerance.
Okay.
There's a big difference between talk and action.
And doing.
Yeah, I think there's a tendency in South Africa to always blame the next person. If you ask a BMW driver, he'll blame a taxi driver. Ask an SUV driver, blame a BMW driver, and it goes on. And I think the issue of zero tolerance is not in a sense that the government is saying to people, we are saying zero tolerance among the society themselves. When a 14-year-old is given a buggy with 8 people in it and crashes and kills 5 people, what kind of a society is that? The zero tolerance must be in the society itself. It must be you who says it's not going to happen in my locality. The next person says it's not going to happen here, so that everybody else understands that it is the responsibility of all of us to make sure that our roads are safe. It can't be government, it can't be private sector alone. It must be a collective effort.
But Howard is saying that from government side, we should stop just talking about zero tolerance, but actually do. I think that's what you were saying, just to summarize.
We have sent 2 people to prison for 25 years. If it's talking, it's something else. We have sent people to prison. There are people, there's someone who has been sentenced for murder for that purpose. That's government at work. So I do not think that the issue is about the stringency of the sentences, because if you look at in Kariso in December right now, we had just sentenced someone to 25 years, and then someone goes and drag races and also kills 5 people. So that in itself, I do not think that at the end it must be everyone's responsibility, so that people know consequences, but as well people understand that it's you and me that break those rules. It's not some guy who's also a criminal out there. So it's me and him.
I know that you want to respond, and the Deputy Minister as well, but let's go to a break. It is each individual's obligation to be a responsible driver, passenger and pedestrian, and follow the laws of the road. How diligent are you with regards to road safety? Call or tweet me. The details are at the bottom of your screen. After the break, law enforcement. Welcome back to 3 Talk. What are we doing wrong? Is zero tolerance just lip service? And just before the break, we had Collins and Howard talking about zero tolerance. Let's hear what the Minister says, because Howard brought something up about zero tolerance.
Yes, our zero tolerance is meant for all offences that occur on our roads. We should not be tolerating any death that occurs on our roads, any disobedience of any road traffic rule on our roads. We should not be tolerating that as South Africans, and that is where the concept comes from. But let me say this, just during the festive season, we stopped and searched 1.28 million vehicles. Of those, we issued out about 500,000 tickets, and we arrested about 3,900 drivers. Of those, about 2,000 plus were for drunken driving. We are enforcing the law. However, we cannot be everywhere. We regard ourselves as responsible citizens. And I can't be a responsible citizen when somewhere I decide not to be responsible. So if we say we are responsible citizens, we probably must then say, sometimes I am a responsible citizen and sometimes I'm not a responsible citizen. But if I want to be regarded as a responsible citizen, it means as I get into my car, before I drive off, I must ensure that everybody in the car has put on the seat belts, they're buckled up.
Well, let's hope there are seatbelts in a car.
Yes.
Because sometimes there are cars that have 6 passengers in them and there are no seatbelts that are working.
If I'm a responsible citizen, I will not be in that car. I will definitely not be in that car. I will be in the car with seat belts, and before I drive off, I will ensure that everybody has buckled up or have buckled up. I will ensure that the car that I'm driving is roadworthy, that it has the license to be on the road, because I am a responsible citizen. I don't need somebody to tell me that I'm responsible. I am responsible. And that is the message that we think it should go out to all people of South Africa.
And I'm hoping that as I am an irresponsible citizen, I get stopped by a cop and I don't have a seatbelt, that he will not ask me for a bribe, and then I give him the bribe, that 100 Rand or 50 Rand or 20 Rand, which then just makes the circle go round and round and round, because that's also a huge problem. Whether we like it or not, it's a huge problem in South Africa, where you have broken the rules of the law of the road, you don't have a license, you're speeding, you're drunk, whatever. You give someone 100 Rand and that person just drives off again, and probably 10 kilometers later kills someone after giving a cop 100 Rand bribe. And I'm sure that you've heard these stories, Collins.
No, I've heard the stories. I think there was a study that was done also by Lead South Africa that shows that any particular person who has ever paid a bribe in their life, most of them have paid it to a traffic official. So that we know. The question is, what are we doing about it? We have started the National Traffic Anti-Corruption Unit that is going to look at those issues. We've already arrested about 48 people in October and November, most of them being private testing stations that have been issuing unroadworthy vehicles with roadworthiness certificates. So we are working on that, and we know that we have a problem, and we are working on that.
Okay, you wanted to add something?
My thought is, how many people are not driving around with babies and children loose in vehicles, standing between the seats, sitting on front seats when they're very small? Even the law's been removed that children under the age of 14 may not sit in the front seat. There's no enforcement. Parents don't realize they need to put baby safety restraints in the rear seat with the babies facing the rear seat to prevent their babies' necks breaking if a car were to roll. We're seeing that, but we're also watching the public breaking the law, and then we see the police watching them and ignoring it. We're seeing this all the time.
See, then we ask the question, if we're talking about zero tolerance, and we have officers or law enforcement officers who are not helping, then we don't have a solution, do we?
No, we do have. We have a solution. First, it begins with me. It begins with me. And that is what we are saying. It begins with these panelists that are here and everybody that is in this house, that I become responsible for what I'm doing. And you know, you find people, as you rightfully say, or as the CEO is saying, who will actually have money in the car for bribing whoever on the road. This person is intending to break the rules of the road and therefore committing crime, because probably we're referring to them as offenses. They are crimes. And when you do that, when you bribe, you are actually committing crime, and therefore you are a criminal. When you stop them on the road and you're saying you are actually committing crime, they say, no, but you're treating me like I'm a criminal. You say, yes, indeed, you are a criminal. And you should actually go to jail because you are nothing but a real criminal. You should go to jail for that. And I think this is the issue that we should emphasize. The issue that the speaker is saying, children sitting in front. In fact, in December, I was patrolling the N3. Here was this driver who had a baby sitting in front of him, and he was driving on the N3. And we followed him, and he realized that we was actually stopping them. He knew that it is wrong. He gave the baby to the wife, who was also sitting in front, because he knew it is wrong. So it's not about not knowing. It's about people deciding to do things that are wrong, and therefore becoming irresponsible. Irresponsible and actually committing crime, because that is committing crime. You are breaking the law.
Okay.
Noeleen, I think very often people have got no concept of the consequence of their actions. And this is what we see in the work that Pat and I are doing. We're working with people with disabilities, helping to rehabilitate them to get back to driving and find solutions for how they can drive after having a disability. So we are seeing very many people who are living with the consequences of these irresponsible driving. Whether it's, I mean, those children break my heart. When we see children who've gone through a windscreen, that child ends up with a head injury and has to live with that for the rest of their lives. It's the consequences that very often those parents never thought about when they were doing that. And I think if we could find a way of making it more visible, making people who have broken the law have to have those consequences in their faces, such as having a punishment as going and working in the trauma units, where they see these accidents and these people coming in from the accidents. One of my clients last year who had had a head injury and had been through one of the private trauma units in Gauteng, his family was sitting with us and they said, you know, we wish we knew what it was all about before we had to experience it for ourselves. If we had been in that trauma unit beforehand, this would never have happened, because we would have been far more responsible on the roads. So if we had a way of making disability more visible, making the results of these accidents more visible, more in people's faces, I think that would also help a lot.
But that goes back to what we're about. If every new driver was trained to the highest possible level, and if every driving instructor in the country was correctly trained, and that's never been done in the history of South Africa, not one driving instructor in our country has yet been trained to the high standard they need to be. Now that's what we're about. We're a training institute, and we want to see driving instructors across the country correctly trained, and then every one of them go out and see to the people in their society speaking their language and putting them out on the road, not just enough to get their driving licenses, but defensive drivers, so that they can protect themselves against bad weather conditions and other people's bad driving, etc. And cope in emergencies, so that they know how to control a skid, etc. So that they don't just drive through intersections like a horse with blinkers on, so that they check their mirrors and look right, left, right before they cross. Not left, right, left, that comes from America. In our country, people approach first from the right. So before we cross an intersection, we must first know what's behind us, then look right,
So
left.
hold on. So I've got to look at my rearview mirror.
Yes.
Okay, rearview mirror, and then right, then right,
left,
left,
and right again before we enter the intersection.
Aha, K53, got it.
Even in teaching our children to cross the road, children are taught, look left, right, left.
It's the wrong way round.
But it is, because if you think when you're crossing the road, the close traffic is coming from your right. So you need to check right, left, right.
Schools all over the
We all
country
teach
have
it
always
wrong.
taught it the wrong way round, based on the American system.
Left, right, that's how they talk.
Yeah.
But it's actually
It's wrong.
right,
Right.
left,
and right again.
and right again, but also look back, because there are some people who would just come. So after you've looked right, someone may have come from behind you. Okay, this is interesting. Should we be putting all responsibility on our law enforcers to make us more responsible drivers, or are all the rules and limits putting us in danger of being a nanny state? Call me on 086 2233 303 or tweet me. My username is Noeleen3Talk. We'd like to hear what your thoughts are. Welcome back to 3 Talk. Zero tolerance on our roads is our topic for today. Road safety experts repeatedly warn about the dangers of irresponsible driving and bad pedestrian habits, but it seems the message doesn't quite get through. What are we doing wrong? And I think we've kind of touched on it. It's and the minister and the CEO were talking about drinking and driving and walking and driving, speeding, overtaking when you're not supposed to be overtaking. I mean, I took a road trip from Johannesburg to Cape Town this past holiday, and I was horrified, absolutely horrified at the manner in which people drive. So it's a blind rise, and you are driving, and a car comes in front of you, and you think, but you can't be overtaking. How is it possible that you are overtaking? And they hoot at you because you're not moving out of the way. And this happened quite often. Yes. But the saddest thing for me as well was in the entire trip from Johannesburg to Cape Town, not one roadblock, not one police car, not one person stopping us. And for me, and I was like, you know what, I'm the responsible one, so it's fine. But I would have loved to see, in that entire road trip that I took, I would have loved to see more police visibility, and there was none. Was it because it was concentrated in certain areas, or some areas were ignored? What was the issue? Do you know, Deputy Minister?
I wouldn't know about that.
Because obviously
it's not
your department.
Yes, I wouldn't have known about that specific day.
Yeah.
However, surely...
No, it was over many days.
Or in fact, surely would have wanted to see our traffic officers
I
being
would have
there.
loved to see
particularly because you're talking about a busy road. Surely would have loved to see them being there. I cannot account for that specific day or those number of days. I was actually patrolling N3, and it was unannounced. And they were, of course, there. That was in KZN. They were there in numbers. In fact, you'd actually drive for about 45
Maybe
kilometers.
because you were patrolling.
No, they didn't know I was in KZN,
Yeah.
and many of them didn't even know me. They couldn't recognize because I was just in a vehicle and driving around, not a marked vehicle.
Okay.
They were there. You would wish to see more of them, particularly on busy days. I think one other issue that we need to mention is the fact that we only have 17,000 traffic officers. And we have a road network of about 750 proclaimed and unproclaimed roads in South Africa. And sometimes it puts a lot of strain to have them everywhere. But on a national road, on a busy road such as that one, surely would have wanted to have them there on a daily basis.
Absolutely,
if possible.
Absolutely. Howard?
Well, the concentrations of traffic officers at roadblocks, for example, there are a lot of traffic officers at those roadblocks, and one actually has to question whether this is actually a correct way in doing this, or whether we could better utilize those people by spreading them out over longer distances. Let's face it, how many moving violations do you think actually do occur at roadblocks? Those have got to be completely recalcitrant people. At the end of the day, if you're going to be overtaken on a blind rise, on a solid white line, on a blind corner, etc., that's not going to happen on the N3 freeway, is it? The fact is, it's going to happen on your B roads and your A roads, etc., We need to spread this out. We need to use the information knowing that a high proportion of crashes take place at certain places. But the other thing I think that we really need to examine is our licensing system in this country, because the vast majority of people that I've certainly encountered study to pass their driving license. They don't study to keep themselves alive on the roads. Once they have that driving license, it's anything goes. I'm the king of the road, etc. Absolutely. And you know, at the end of the day, we need to, I believe, and I know that this would place enormous strain on the testing centres, but I think we need to retest people every 5 years, opposed to doing an eye test on them, for which the pass mark is 50%. So in other words, you can be half blind and you'll get your driving license again. That's just not acceptable. We need to also examine right from the beginning the sanity of allowing a person to go for a code C1 driving license, entitling them to drive a vehicle up to a gross vehicle mass of 16,000 kilograms, when they can't pass a Code B driving license. I know that there have been moves to try and rectify that, but we need to actually bring these rectifications in instead of just dancing around them.
Collins, you come in, and I've got someone on the line, and then I've got to ask another question.
Noeleen, you know this. I agree with Howard and Pat on what they are saying about training, but I think what we started by saying is, do South Africans know how to drive? They do. If you are going to train them every 5 years, yes, they are going to pass that driver's license.
No,
that does not mean in any way they will adhere to road rules once they get back there. And there is a sense. Let me give you a perspective about law enforcement, which we do on a daily basis, and we live that life. 17,000 traffic officers on South African roads. 10,000 of them are concentrated in metros. Okay, 7,000 of them are then provincial traffic officers that take care. The people that die, most of them die on national roads, which is 49%. 36% of them on provincial roads. What are hazardous locations? When you have got that spread of resources, you then look at hazardous locations where accidents usually happen. So you go and focus on those to ensure that those things don't repeat themselves. And what do you focus on as well? You focus on things speeding, you focus on issues about drinking and driving. On a drinking and driving case, for instance, you are not going to pick up someone by patrolling. You have to have a roadblock to stop that person. You are not going to pick up an unroadworthy vehicle easily by looking at it. You must stop it and physically check it. That's why we have come up with a national rolling enforcement plan that says each and every month we stop and check 1 million vehicles in South Africa.
I wish I was stopped during the holidays. I was not speeding. I was not driving drunk. I was not overtaking. I was not negligent, but not one roadblock in the time that I drove from Johannesburg to Cape Town, which was over a number of days. On the line, we have Advocate Johan Jonk, who has actively run the Arrive Alive website for the past decade. Johan, hello, and thank you for joining us on the line. What do you believe, Johan, after running the website for such a long time, is the major problem that we have in South Africa and on our roads?
Noeleen, at the moment, one of the biggest problems, I believe, would be irresponsible behavior and the pure failure to follow the rules of the road. The part that I do, the website, that's the easy part. That's creating awareness. And to achieve road safety, we always refer to the 5 E's internationally, which is engineering, education, encouragement, enforcement, and evaluation. Now, we do the awareness part and the education part. Nobody should be able to say that they do not know. The problem at the moment is the people know that what they are doing is wrong, but they still continue to do that. I believe we also need to look at an example from India where they've actually changed one of those E's to what they call the eradication of corruption. I think that will address a lot of the issues because we have too many licenses or drivers driving which should not be driving. We have too many vehicles which have roadworthy certificates which should not be roadworthy. And we have a belief amongst people that they can get away with anything. I think those are one of the biggest problems that we need to address.
And I'm going to leave it there on because we have run out of time. And also perhaps cohesiveness and working together of all people that are involved in road safety. Everybody working from one point of view and not divergent views. Thanks so much. Do you overlook some of the rules of the road, or do you observe the speed limit only when you see law enforcement around? Could you be part of the problem? Tweet me. My username is Noeleen3Talk, or you can call 086 2233 303. We'll be back after the break.
You were saying, you were indicating a person who then pays a bribe for buckling up. Who's going to die when that car crashes? Because it's the very same person who has paid a bribe. Because by paying a bribe to a guy and not buckling up, you are not going to save your life. That's the point. So for me, it's that the society must look at these things from that point of view. I'll tell you an example of where the mother was carrying the child. The car crashed. The child was flung out of the car. The mother lived. The child died. So those are the things that when you go there and you talk to that mother and you ask her, what really happened? They will tell you that they did not know this, they did not that. Whereas all these things we keep on saying, please buckle up, make sure that the child is secured in the car, and all those kind of things.
So all of this information, Collins, I would obviously be able to get from your website. So you would drive traffic to your website where I'd be able to get, as a normal citizen, I'll be able to get. Is it an effective website?
Yes,
is it up and running?
We have also got the one of Get There No Regrets that we have just launched. We have got all those things there. We are putting all those things there so that people can see those things. What we also want to do is to show people live accidents on those websites so that someone can click and see.
What's your website?
It's www.gettherenororegrets.co.za.
Gettherenororegrets.co.za.
And if you go and have a look at it right now, you'll see that it has one video and 2 posters.
But we started in December.
It doesn't matter when you started, with all due respect. It matters what's up there.
Yeah.
The question was, if we go to your website, is all the information there?
Yes.
You said yes. It's not there.
RTMC website has got all that information.
It has not.
If you go there, you are going to get all the state of road safety reports that we put on our website. We have launched
including the 2011, 2012 one.
Yes, we have launched the 2012 one. Where would you get it? Because we have not finalized
2011, 2012.
We have not finalized that, Howard.
But that was more than a year ago. In fact, it was 2 years ago.
All that information is there. There is information on Get There No Regrets. And I'm saying, Noeleen, we are building that as a matter of fact going forward. What we had as a website before was the Arrive Alive website, which also has that information. You have been talking to Johan Young here, who tells you that that information is there. So it cannot be.
So let's just, because we've got about a minute. So I think we're building the website.
Yes,
it's being built. It's not there.
This new one is being built. If someone wants to get all the information, there is rtmc.co.za.
Okay.
There is also Arrive Alive.
So it's being built. It's not there yet. Very quickly, Deputy Minister.
I think one important message also that has come up out of this discussion is the issue of the trainer of a driver, which I think we are indeed as a department focusing on. I think the lady was actually raising that. Who is training our driver in South Africa? And we actually were discussing that just this morning to say we've got to ensure that the person who is training is himself better
Unfortunately,
trained.
we've run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. The Department of Transport has set goals for greater safety on our roads going forward, including harsher measures for serial offenders and the reduction of road fatalities by 50% by the end of the United Nations Decade of Action for Road Safety campaign in 2020. But remember, none of those strategies will mean anything without your active involvement. Tomorrow, I'll be chatting to 2 South Africans who have made their way onto the Forbes list of 13 young Africans to watch in 2013. Bonang Mateba and DJ Spoo will be in studio talking about life, love, and success in 2013. Don't miss it tomorrow at 4:35. Till tomorrow, buckle up, be considerate, and stay alert. Bye-bye.